Good morning. Last class before the final exam next week. So we'll work on the sports.sql. You have this file from maybe 2 weeks before, right? I gave you a few files. My contacts to clowns and so on. They were all together under joins and subqueries, that zipped file. So this is the last one we'll work on from that, and then I have placed 2 more files on Blackboard. You're all aware, I think, the assignment is already posted on Blackboard. It was posted on Sunday and it is due on Sunday midnight. And there are no extensions because Monday I have to give out the solution to my Monday students, right? They have their exam, so the solution has to be given to them before they do the exam. So please keep that in mind, okay? So there are no extensions this time at all. I did give a couple of extensions on the Java assignment, a few hours, but I can't do this in this one. I just can't do it. So keep that in mind. So I see you next week. Your exam on relational database is next week. And everything that we've covered till now, with more emphasis on what you've done after the reading week. So you've done alter, you've done advanced select statements, you've done joins and subqueries, right? So the main emphasis will be there, but definitely how do I create a database, how do I create a table, and all that still remains. So again, a hands-on exam, 2 hours and 50 minutes, and you get what you do, right? So you'll be allowed to use your class examples, you'll be allowed to use your assignments, and the MySQL manual help if I think it will be required. I have to tell you guys, I mean, irrespective of me saying that you can go to the internet and surf the web, students are still doing that. And what happens is, because of a couple of students, the others also suffer. Like, then I have to stop it, right? I'll say you can't do it. You'll have to switch off your, and I can't keep an eye on so many people from here. You know what I mean? You're on your own laptops. So you have to be honest, but whatever it is. Okay, so as I said, so be ready for your exam, and if you don't have a partner still for relational database, email me. I've already said I won't take individual assignments, right? And don't distribute, if you're, of course, whoever you're working with, don't distribute the work, let me do first 7 and you do the last 7 kind of stuff. If you want, distribute it, maybe half of joins and half of subqueries. You know what I mean? Because if you only do a part, I'll do the first part and you do the second part. One student only will get practice in joins and the other will only get practice in subqueries. But I want you to get practice in both. So the best way of doing it is maybe just sit together and do it. That would be the best way, right? Or communicate through Skype or whatever. But if you want to distribute the work, I would still say both of you do it, and then whatever was not achievable by one student or the other, then do it together. Okay? But practice everything in that assignment. So whatever we've been doing in class, the assignment that I've given you should be good enough to take care of the exam. Okay? So if you've done it yourself, or if you're okay, you should be good. So what we are going to work on before I start the extra labs, on which you can work yourself if you like, or I can help you out. But the aim is more joins and more queries, right? So research has already told us that joins are better than subqueries. So in the long run, maybe you'll use more joins than subqueries. And also in joins, keep in mind that you should be forming the least join, in the sense, when you're trying to join records, try to keep in mind that what I'm joining, I should join the least number of records. And inner join, keep in mind, joins every record with every record. It forms a Cartesian product and then selects record out of it. Okay, so that will take the most time. So keep in mind also that when you deal with databases and tables that have millions and trillions of records, you have to be careful about efficiency too. So keeping that in mind, in the assignment, I've said do this using inner join, do this using outer join, to kind of give you an idea of like both, again, practicing, because some students just tend to use inner join just because it's more easy, right? So I've kind of said do this using inner join and outer join, and there is an example of self join. So I'm hoping that assignment will act as a review, and will also, whatever we are doing in class are all reviews, right? Everything I'm doing is a review. So if you don't understand something while I do it, please ask, because it is important that you know what is being done, and you can show that skill in the final exam. Okay, so a lot of things will be marked in the last week. The assignment only comes to me on Sunday, so I start marking it on Monday. I'll try to finish it off by Wednesday or Thursday. I still am working on Java. So worse come worse, the results are due on Wednesday. Wednesday, 24th of August is when they are due. So definitely by that time, everything will have to be marked. But please keep an eye on your student emails, right? If anything goes wrong, some file didn't come, something is corrupted, I can't open your file, whatever it is, I'll send you an email. Okay, so keep an eye on your emails till Wednesday, 24th August. There's anything that I need to talk to you about, I'll do through email. I have no other contact through your student email, right? That's the only email I have on my Blackboard. Okay, so keep that in mind because things always happen at the last minute. So a lot of marks still have to come, but they will. Like, okay, so let's go through this. So you can open the file. I'm just going to save it as just the, I just want to keep the Blackboard copy. Okay, let's look at it. Now this again, a database that I copied from somewhere, right? And if you notice that they are using Java convention instead of the convention we have been following in class, which is okay. I mean, you can follow the camel case convention. From day one, I've said, whatever you want to follow, do it, but stick to one convention. So if you notice, there are some names I don't like postal code. I don't know why the player name would be a character. I would be more comfortable making it a varchar. Names, definitely varchars are much better. But anyway, I didn't touch the code. I just said, okay, whatever. The others are okay. I mean, if you see when did they join and the street, the house number, the postal code could have been called postal code, the towns and so on. And the town is a varchar, which makes sense. Phone number usually are characters. They've taken it to be 30. I'm not sure if that's a big one, but I think with 10 and brackets and dashes, that's what will come to the 30. And the country code also could be, who knows, right? So the only thing that I think could be improved is the varchar for player name. That doesn't seem too good to me, but as I said, I just left it where it was. And initials are usually character 1, right? Initials of a person are usually character 1. We are familiar with date, we are familiar with small int, and we are also familiar with the other types they've used. Please keep in mind when you have more than one tables in a database, there will exist some relationship, hopefully, between the tables. A table may be standalone table. Like in the previous one, our job listings was standalone. It didn't have a relationship with any table. But usually there will always be a relationship. And how do you look at relationships? You will find that foreign keys exist that refer to fields in the other table. And that tells you there is a relationship. So please notice here the team numbers. So, I mean, hopefully by this time you can recognize what team numbers are, what is a foreign key and so on. So they are related, right? The penalties table. Now, I think, was it with your section that I think we discussed this. Did we start working on sports last week? Did we do something? Oh, we did. We did a 1. I did 1A with you. It seems like I did. So we've kind of already talked about all this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just create. And we have found out that the SQL workbench may not always create the correct ERD in terms of relationships, right? And we've already talked about it. It was showing a one-to-many relationship, whereas it should have shown a one-to-one. So keep in mind when you do the assignment, if you're going to copy it from somewhere, which is whatever you do, please keep in mind that relationships are done well. You double check the relationships and please give it a name. I've said show it, is it a one-to-one relationship, a one-to-many, or a many-to-many? You haven't seen an example of a many-to-many actually, because one-to-many are the most common relationships. Okay, so let's me open DB Sports. Just so that I have the ERD. And remember, ERDs are very useful. ERDs are very useful in kind of helping you with understanding the relationships between the tables. Okay, so that's the ERD. Always keep it handy. So I forced you to make it in the assignment. Hopefully you will make it before you do the assignment, so that you know how you can use it for your joins and subqueries. So in the exam, I'll also maybe give you an ERD, though it takes a minute to make it, so that you can look at it while you answer your queries. Okay, and I am leaning towards keeping the same database and tables that I've given you in your assignment. That way you've seen them. So it's easier, right? Something that you see for the first time is a little difficult to gauge, but if I give you it before, hopefully it is imprinted in your mind, right? So since you will do the assignment and you will look at the Premier database and the tables a few times, hopefully if I keep the same database and tables, it will be better. So I am leaning towards it, okay? But I don't promise anything. Okay, so let's do this. Let's start with the queries. And we have discussed the first one already. I've already done 1A with you, where it says find the name and initials of the player for whom at least one penalty has been paid. So the question kind of makes you think at least one. So basically, couldn't I say a penalty has been paid? That's what at least one means. But I mean, even this isn't wrong. So don't just say, oh, at least one, I have to use the count function. No, not here, because at least one means one or more. Okay, so this was done. We had used an inner join. I had showed you why an outer join would be more efficient. And remember, the penalties table is smaller, hopefully smaller than the players table. And everybody in the penalty table has paid a penalty. And all I need is their name and initials. So it is better. I mean, you could have created a left outer join opposite also from the players to the penalties, but that's not efficient, right? So which table to use as the master table or the table on the left in a left outer join? All you have to do is keep in mind what table is my smaller table, or what table is the table where all records need to be browsed. So I have to browse all the records of the penalty table. I have to, because all these people have given a penalty. So I have to look at all the records of this table. So I place it on the left, right? I could have done the opposite. That was definitely much less efficient. Why? You're picking up a player table and saying, did you pay a penalty? Did you pay a penalty? Maybe half of them didn't even pay a penalty. You know what I mean? So keep in mind also when you do an outer join and we are talking about efficiency, I'm trying to see if you can understand that which table has to be placed on left. Now, these are very small things, minor things, but in the long run, will pay you off. So understand these things, see why it is more efficient, what table should be placed on the left or the right, whatever you're using. And I'm sticking to left just because right outer join is not prevalent in all relational databases. Okay. Okay, so let's go further. Let's look at the next one, which says find the name and initials of the player who have paid no penalties. So now it's the opposite. I want no penalties. As soon as you see the word no, think of outer joins. So something that's present here, but not here. Now I can't do an inner join here because when I say no, it's not an inner join. Inner join is always trying to join two tables on something. That's what we do. So the penalties table and the players table have to be joined to find out who paid penalties. Now I'm asking the opposite. I'm saying who did not pay a penalty. So think about it for a minute. There is a table of players. All players are listed there. Who of these did not pay a penalty are all those people that are not present in the penalties table, right? So if they're not present in the penalties table, I basically have to do an outer join. So they are here, but not here, right? So let's try that now. Let's try that. So we have to say the name and the initials. So the name and the initials are coming from here. I'll just take this one because I know it's an outer join. Okay, let's see. Okay, now distinct player name and initials, we'll see whether we don't need it, because if they have not paid any penalty, you know what I mean? Like they can be more than one times in the table. Okay, so now think about it for a minute. Which table on the left and which table on the right? Think about the logic. Pick up every record from the players table and see if it has a partner in the other table. That's what you have to see, not the opposite. You don't have to pick up the record from the penalties table and say, do you have a partner? It's the opposite. People who have not paid a penalty are in which table? In the players table and not in the other table. So you'll have to take the players P and put it on the left. Take your players penalties table and put it on the right. That's one job then. Which is my left table and which is my right table? Okay, so keep in mind when we say you are here and not here, that means you couldn't find a partner. And if you can't find a partner, That means all the fields of the second record are null. That's how you don't find a partner. So let's look at this one for a minute so that you can see what I'm doing. So I'm going to just pick up the records, nothing else for a minute. Here, I've said do a left outer join from the two tables. Let's see how it looks. Give it a go. So if you want to do it step by step and it makes more sense to you, sure, do it. See, look at what? People who have not paid a penalty, like for example, Wise, has null in the other fields, and these other fields are coming from the penalty table. Payment number, player number, payment date, these are all coming from the penalties table. So none of these guys who have null, not the league number was a part of, I think, the first table. We're talking about from here. So if the payment number, you can pick up any field, doesn't matter. All these fields for people who have not paid a penalty is null. So I have a left outer join. So I only want to pick up these records. So what do? Pick them up. Where? Right now, I'm just using PN because I've called it, and pick up any field, doesn't matter. Usually it's a good idea to pick up the primary key, just because it's easier, I think, right? It doesn't matter which field you pick up. You can pick up any field you like, player number, payment number. You'll say, oh, player number makes more sense to me. Sure, pick up player number, nothing stops you. But we usually, when we search something, when we check something, we kind of stick to the primary key. I've always said, updates, stick to primary key. Searches, stick to primary key if you can. Why? Because of their property that they're unique and null. Here, it really doesn't matter because all fields are null. So pick up whatever field. And what is the value of this field? Null. So anywhere where the payment number is null, or the player number is null, or the payment amount is null, whatever. These are people who do not have a penalty. Notice? They do not have a penalty. So you can pick up whatever you like, the first field, the second, the third, the fourth. As I said, I stuck to the primary key. Maybe player number makes more sense to you. You're saying, oh, it doesn't have a player number partner. Sure, you can say player number also, right? Whatever makes sense. And now, since we only need their name and initials, there. Right, so go step by step if you want to see if I'm going the right path. You can do it one at a time. Let me do a left outer join. Let me look at the answer. Oh, now all these do not have a partner, therefore have null in it, and then go ahead and do it. Okay, so this should now show us these players who do not have a penalty. So let's check. We have R. Everett, then we have Wise, I think, and then we have Collins and Bishop. Okay, so hopefully we can remember a few of them. Right, so definitely the first four is what we were seeing in the table. So I'm hoping they're right. They will be. If you kind of look at people who paid penalties, here they are. Right, so you have R, B, D, D, E, and D, and none of these will be here. That R is not the R of the guy. None of them are here. Right, so together these are the players in the database, in the table. So that's the not. So not comes to your mind, always kind of think about an outer join. And of course it can be done using a subquery also. What are you trying to see? You're trying to find all those people in the table, players, where the player number is not in the penalties table. Right? So sometimes subqueries seem simple. They kind of, you can think them simply, but they're not efficient. They're less efficient than joins. So whenever you do a not, go with outer join, right? An inner join it won't work, not in knots. And in subqueries, if you kind of think of it, these are people who paid a penalty, right? And you got their player numbers. And why did I choose player numbers? Because that is what was common between the two tables. You can't choose payment number here. You cannot. It doesn't make sense. So you choose the player numbers from here. It is a set, right? Maybe the same player number is occurring more than once. There were people who paid 3 penalties and 2 penalties. Doesn't matter. It's just in a set, in a list. And then you pick up those players from the first table where the player number is not in this set. So this should also give you the same answer. The same list in both the, so that's 1 and that's 2. right? So whatever makes sense at that time, unless asked, and I will do it. Just to let you know, I will say answer this query using a join, answer this query using a subquery, and so on. I'll make it a point, right? Just because I want to test your everything. Like I've done it in the assignment. Some I've asked with outer joins, some I've done with inner joins, and a few with subqueries. So prepare yourself. You may not have the option of doing any way you want. It will be asked a certain way, just because I'm testing you on something. Find the name and initials of the players for whom at least 2 penalties have been paid. Right? We've already found out people who have paid penalties. Remember, we did it here. We said these people have paid penalties. Now, if they have paid it, all I have to do is any of them more than 2, right? Any of them more than 2. So let's see. I'll pick up the outer join just because we've already said outer join is more efficient. Okay, so these are people who have paid a penalty. All these people have paid a penalty. Take the penalties table and find its partner in the players. And you will find a partner. Why? Because the player number in the penalties table is present in the players table. You will find a partner. So find a partner. And now we only want those people that have paid more than at least 2 penalties. Okay, so what do I do? So at this point of time, these are people who have paid a penalty. But they should have paid more than 2 penalties, 2 or more than 2. What should I join to it? What should I add to the condition or to the statement here, which will work for me? Think about it for a minute. So I have the player name and the initials of all those people who have paid it. What verb in the advanced select statement, what statement have you done which will help you to find out how many 2 or more? What should I do? What are these steps? Group by first and then check the count. Right? You have to group them, and group them by what? Group them by player number. Because that will, any people who've paid more than 1 penalties, you're grouping them up. And for your information, group by will work the same as distinct. It can be done, though we don't do it just because it's not so intuitive to look at. You can replace the word distinct and you can just say group by player number. And even then you will only see them once. Distinct does the same job as group by, but we don't do it because distinct makes more sense than grouping. But here I definitely need grouping. Okay, so group them up. Group them up. So take your PT table and group up the player number. Right, so I've grouped up all people of the same player number. And now I only want to pick up those where the count of this, count of what now? Player number is greater than or equal to, both will we need, or you can say greater than 3. Is greater than this. Make sense? So group them by player numbers. Oh, sorry, not PT, PN. Sorry, not PT, but PN. Should work. We can check. Isn't a big deal. We can always check. But logically, that's what. And you won't need distinct now because every player number, when you group, it won't come. You'll see I don't need it. I'll show you. You don't need the distinct now because whenever you group something, there is only 1 group per person. So when there is only 1 group per person, his name and initial will only occur once. So you don't need distinct now. So where will I put it and where will I not put it? You'll have to think about it. It comes with experience, right? When you do so many, you know whether I need it or not. Worst come worst, you look at the answer and you say, oh, there are more than one of the same nature or the same records. I'll put a distinct. And sometimes I may tell you, I want to see all of them. Then please don't put a distinct. Okay, so be careful what you are doing. So distinct, whenever you do a group by, you can kind of assume that you don't need distinct. You won't. You can actually, just for your information, though it's right, kind of a little silly, here you can actually remove the word distinct and say group by player number, and it will still work. Right? So I can do it. I mean, just to show you, I can remove this from here for a minute I can say group by here. Group by who? PN number. And it will work. Because that's what grouping does, right? Grouping kind of forms a group. And a group will only have one name and initial. This should work. Which one is it? We are 1A, the first one itself. I removed the distinct just to show you. Oops. Okay, let's try. So look at the first answer. Oh, first answer, 29, starting 29. So there it is, right? It's the same as this, and I think we had another one, subquery, same as this. So the distinct was written first. If you don't write it, then of course you will see more than one, because some people did pay more than one penalty. So though it's not it's not incorrect, but writing distinct just makes it more clearer, I think. But the group by works the same way as distinct. Group by something and you don't need the distinct one. I don't need it, right? So we had distinct before, so I'll go back to what I had. But I'll kind of leave this here so that you can see that we can do it using group by also. You can put a note for yourself. If we use it's just something that you should know about. Okay, so let's try it again. Same answer. And of course, without the distinct. Let's try without the distinct just to prove you that that's what we want. Oh, let's see. So committee members. Notice how people who have paid more than one penalty, the DD, the Collins is coming twice and the Baker is coming thrice. So no distinct was used. And now let's go back to distinct. And you should only see them once. We only see them once, and that was the same thing that was happening in group by also. So group by is the same as distinct, just for your information. Okay, so where were we? Let's come back here. So these people paid 2 or more. So there were 2 guys. Collins, I think, had paid 3. Baker had paid 3, and the other guy had 2, just because we just saw it. So let's see if this works. We must get 2 answers, and the 2 answers are Baker and Collins, right? Those are the 2 guys who paid at least 2. So let's try. And look at the last one. There they are, Collins and Baker. Right? So the concept is not that tough. It's not tough. You just have to think, what tables do I need? What fields do I need to pick up? What is my joining condition? And then after I join from there, in which records do I need to pick up? And again, keep in mind, as where is to from or on here, because we are using an outer join, having is to group. So having gives you the condition applied to the group by, and the where gives you the conditions for the from. So they're kind of together. So we kind of, if you keep this in your head, where is to from as having is to group by. So the condition that you want to give in your group by comes with the word having, and the condition that you want to give on your records to be selected comes with where and from. Okay, in our case on, just because it's an outer join. I can't use the word on there. Okay, where there, right? So that's people who have paid 2 penalties or more. And if you know how to do 2 penalties, you know how to do 3 or 4 or 5 or whatever. Okay. Oh, let's look at this correlated query. Did I introduce you to correlated queries? Yeah. Okay. So just so that you get some practice, because you're definitely, I think I'm not sure, did I give you one in the assignment, but you should be seeing one in the exam also, if right. Okay, so now it says same as question 1A, and the question 1A was people who've paid a penalty. That's what it was, but using the exists word. So remember, whenever we have exists, there is a correlated query. So kind of an odd, not everybody can put their head around it. It takes me a while to do it myself, to be very truthful, but kind of think it this way. I'm trying to look for something that also exists here. If you can keep that in mind, right? So where does it exist? It exists in the penalty table. We'll say, so that's simple, I use a subquery. But we're using a correlated subquery, right? We want to write a correlated subquery. So the correlated subquery says that the inner table will use or will combine with the outer table on a condition. That's what it does, right? So keep that in your head if it makes sense. So what are we interested in? We are basically interested in, so it's like a subquery. So I'm going to pick up the subquery. You can kind of do it this way if you want to cheat a little, okay? Because it is a subquery. Okay, so we are saying I'm interested in those player names and those initials of those player names where exists a partner for this person in the other table, right? So that partner in the other table, that condition comes here. So where the TBL player number, it's like a join and a, so if you like, if it makes a little sense or makes you feel better, if you want to do it this way, it's just a little cheating, but in a sense, a correlated subquery is a subquery. So write a subquery, and then all you have to do is you have to replace that where and the condition. Take that condition, put it inside the subquery, and say exists. So think of it like this: I want to pick up all those records from my players table where they have a partner in the penalties table. There exists such a combined record there, right? You say, why would I do this if I can do it in a simple subquery? Of course you would, right? If a subquery makes more sense, you will do it that way. And of course, since joins are more efficient than subqueries, you will do it with join. But you still have to learn how to do exists and not exist, because there will or may arise a situation where there is nothing else to do, right? So you have to be aware of it. That should work. So again, we should have the same answer for these guys that we had for the first few people who are paying penalties. So how many did we have? We had kind of 5, right? So Castle, Collins, DD, Baker, E, and Moorman. Okay, so let's give it a try again. So our answers should be correct, right? And of course, syntax wise, it should be correct too. There they are. So a correlated query is a subquery, and the only two verbs that are allowed are exists and not exists. And if you can kind of think in your head that I'm looking for something in the first table that has a partner in the second table, and that joining condition to find the partner goes inside the second table. Therefore, it is called correlated, right? Because they are related to each other. If you kind of look at it, the relation comes here. So you're kind of doing a join in the inner one, kind of, and then from the join picking up only if there is a partner in the other table. So however you want to keep it in your mind. That's how I usually do it, because I mean, you have to understand, because they're not so straightforward. It's not as straightforward as whatever. Okay, let's look at question number 3 now. The player number of the captains, only the number. We are not interested in anything else, right? So we may again keep in mind, when you join tables, like inner joins, don't include tables that are not needed. They won't harm it, but they're redundant, right? So you put a table, you just join tables and you're not using it, you're not picking up anything from it, you don't need to do it, don't do it. And again, I've mentioned that in the assignment too. I said, please don't write redundant code. Do not add redundant tables. Sometimes students just don't think, oh, it's here, here, and here, let me pick it up. But you have to be careful. I'm now asking the player number of the captains who have incurred at least one penalty. So, okay, the guy has paid a penalty and he's a captain, right? So this may take a little minute to go back and think about it. So let's see, the captain is coming from the team table. This person is coming from the team table. If this person is also present in the penalties table, that's all we are interested in. I'm not interested in anything else. I just need his player number. And remember, this captain is a player number. If you see, it says refers to player number of the players table. So it's called captain just to confuse you, or maybe just to make it more clear. Keep in mind, fields will not necessarily have the same name. They don't have to have the same name. We just use the same name because it makes it clear to us human beings. We can kind of correlate. But situations like this may arise. So I'm only interested in the player number. If I'm only interested in the player number, do I need to include the other table? No, I don't. I don't need this table at all. I don't need the table players at all. I haven't asked for anything. I haven't asked for their name or anything. So I don't need it. So be careful. As such, you'll say, oh, this table and this table are related. So teams, I have to include players. You don't have to include players. People who have paid a penalty and are a captain. That's all we are saying. Okay, so let's try. So again, so here is a situation where you don't need to. Again, I think I can do it both using an inner join and an outer join. So let's do it using inner join first. So let's select, we're only interested in the player number. And player number, we can just say captain. We can say player number from the other table. Here it is called captain, okay? From what tables are we interested? Oops, we are interested in the table teams. We just saw that. And we are interested in the table penalties. These are the two tables we are interested in, right? What is the joining condition? The joining condition says you are here and you are here and your player numbers match. So basically where the captain number here, no, that's the captain, not the captain number, is equal to player number in the other table. There's no confusion at all. So we don't have to qualify anything. If you want to, sure, go ahead and do it. Like if it makes more sense to you, do it. Do whatever makes sense to you, because that's your own personal preference, right? And that's not wrong. I mean, people just tend to think some way. As long as you don't write a redundant code, oh, I need a local variable and then I put something in the local variable and then I'll use it. Don't do those things. Unnecessary things, don't do it. But otherwise, if you have a preference, you would like to call your tables, give them alias names, and you want to qualify each of the fields, it's up to you, right? Maybe it's more clear in your mind. So these are people who are captains and have paid a penalty. So there were 5 people who had paid a penalty. We already know that. Not this one. These people have paid a penalty. Out of which, who of them are captains? Let's look. 6, 27, and 12. R. Permenter, 627. D.D. Collins, and 112. But 112 never paid a penalty. So the 2 captains are 6 and 27. So this tells me there are 3 captains, 627 and 112. And this tells me that what are their names, but the penalties table tells me that 112 never paid a penalty. So the only 2 people who are captains and paid a penalty are 6 and 27. So I must have 2 answers, right? So this should give me 2 answers. The player number is all I asked, 6 and 27. Let's do it. Oh, they're repeating more than once because 27 paid 2 penalties. So we'll use distinct. Right? So sometimes you may not think about it when you're writing it. When you see the answer, oh, I don't want to see his name again. Right? So all you will do is what? Add the word distinct. Okay, so that's a normal join, an inner join. What about an outer join? Can we make it more efficient? He's a captain, so definitely he's in the teams table. Right? So captains are in the teams table. If this captain has paid a penalty, then he's also in the penalty side. So think which table should go on the left and which table should go on the right. So since every captain has to be checked, did you pay a penalty or not? Or you'll say, can I do the other way? I'll pick up every record of the penalty table and say, are you a captain? I think that's more work, because not everybody in the penalties table is a captain. They're not. So you know who the captains are and say, did you have a penalty? But it may happen both tables are of the same size. There is no efficiency kind of difference between the two. But logically, when you think about it, you say, I want to test every captain. And captains would be less, hopefully, than the penalties. You know what I mean? Like teams may be less and the number is more. Worst come worst, do a count on the table and see which has more records and work that way. Like that's the worst case behavior. When you have no idea, you will not peek inside the data tables to see who has a bigger table. But all you can do is you can say select count from the tables. You know this has 10 records, this has 50 records. It would be better to look for 10 in 50 rather than 50 in 10. So work it that way. So I'm just thinking, I mean, as I said, I could be wrong. So I want to pick up I'm hoping that the teams are less. So if the teams are less, if the teams are left, I'll do a left outer join here. Right, assuming the teams are left. And we don't need distinct now because a captain only, there is only one captain per team. The same person cannot be the captain of more than one team. So don't use distinct. You won't have a wrong answer, but it's telling me you're not thinking. Right. So again, in the long run, somewhere when you become good programmers or bright programmers or work in the real life, this will come naturally. I mean, this thinking will come naturally. At this point of time, it may not even seem necessary to you. What's the big deal? If I put distinct, it's still working. It's not wrong, right? But at the end of the day, programmers have to think a few times before they put code on the paper. Okay, so keep that in mind. I don't need the distinct now. I won't have an incorrect answer, but I don't need it, right? Okay, so what I'm saying is get the captain from the teams, left it outer join with the penalties, and of course the joining condition still remains the same, where the captain is equal to the player number. So this captain, if he has a penalty, we want it to be written, and we don't need distinct. My logic says you don't need it, because every captain is only appearing once, right? So 6 will be picked up, will be searched. And since it has a partner, it will, oh, some may not have a partner. 124 doesn't have a partner. We have to put a where condition, right? This will give you everything. See, as soon as I send find a partner, but a captain may not pay a penalty. See the problem now? I'll run it for you. Everybody is coming because you did a left outer join. So left outer join picks up all the records from the first table, finds a partner, good, doesn't find a partner, adds null to it, right? All the fields are null. So I don't want to pick up 112, sorry. So I have to add another condition. Okay, so which records do I need to pick up? I only want to pick up those records in which the player number or the penalties, payment number is not null, right? So where, again, you can use whatever you like. I'll stick to the primary key. There. So only pick up those captains who have paid a penalty, and that is coming from is not null. So pick up the captain table, find its partner in the penalties table. If you found a partner, spit it out. If you did not find a partner, don't spit it out. So is not null, that condition says only pick up people who are not there. Okay, so let's try it again. I'm seeing 27 twice because it was 27 was joined twice with it. So my thinking was incorrect because 27 will have two partners. 27 paid two penalties. So when it picks up 27 from here, it joins it with two tables, two records. So if it joins it with two records, we need a distinct again. So just being only once in the first table is incorrect. That means that thinking is incorrect because if the person paid more than once, he will join with two records. It's not says when it finds a partner, stop. It says find all its partners. So we again need a distinct. So I was wrong there. So just being, it's different for the player number table, but here it's different because we are now combining this table with the penalties table, and the captain may have made more than one penalty. So it will have to whatever number of partners. Right? Yep. Okay. I take it back. Okay. So let's try that. So we should have 6 and 27 only, like we had before, right? Like we had before. So let's give it a go again. And there it is, right? Query completed, yes. And there it is. So distinct is required. Otherwise, you will see 6, 27 and 27 because 27 paid two penalties. So not only the first table, we have to think about the second table also, partners in the second table. Okay, so if you found a partner is not null. You found a partner, spit it out. And distinct just because we don't want to see them more than once. Okay, now it says if name and initials are always also required. Now these name and initials are coming from a third table, and that third table is the TBL players. So what you will have to do is this. You can pick up one at a time. We'll pick up our inner join first, and we'll write it here. And join which table to it? The TBL players. I didn't need it in the first one, so you have to be careful. If you need it, put it. If you don't, just because a foreign key in the penalties table or the teams table was coming from the table players, you just don't add it. You just don't join it. It's not necessary, right? So just because there was a foreign key and it was referring to something in the other table, you say, oh, okay, I need it. Nope, don't think about it twice. Now I need it because what do I need? So I need the name and the initials, and the name was player name. So you can keep the player number if you want this to be, and you need the initials. Those are the two fields. Says, oh, there's something called, remember we have a player number field in the table penalties also. So whenever there is a ambiguity, you will have to qualify it. You will have to qualify it. There is not. Sorry, that was player number. Oops, so sorry. But you know what? I'll need it anyway because they're so big tables, so big names, and I'll be writing there. I'll give them alias names because I will need in my where. Okay, so I've added that third table. I've taken the player name and the initials. You can add the number if you like, just to see if the answers are correct. We know the answers are 6 and 27, right? We know those were the two captains, and we know their names also. I think Permenter and anyway, Collins. I think anyway. So let's look at that. So now you'll say, okay, I've added the table. Am I done? No. Whenever you have more than two tables, you have to give a joining condition. Who is joined with what on what and who is joining what on what. So here, the captain and player number are joining which tables? Now, if you just want to be, since I've given it an alias, he's a team captain and he's a penalty player number. But there's a third table that will not do anything till you give it a join condition. Like it will just sit there. Everything will be combined with the other two tables. That's not what we want. We only want to combine if the P dot player number, with which table will it join? You can even actually join it with P n dot player number, but there is a captain also that's there. So think for a minute. Remember in the penalties table, there is a player number, and in the teams, there is a player number who's called captain. Okay, so when I say that, so the first one, 226 is absolutely correct. Because you want to find out who paid a penalty. In this one, does it matter which player number do I use? Or do I give a third condition? Think about it for a minute. You're saying you have a player table, then you have a penalties table. Oh, if you've already joined these and these, it really doesn't matter. Right? You've already said only join these two where the numbers are equal. So how you and with what you join really doesn't matter. Yeah, you can use either. You don't have to write another and. Only one and is enough. So whatever makes sense to you, doesn't really matter. If this makes more sense to you just because it's called the same, sure, go ahead and write this. If the other one makes more sense, do it. It really is not wrong. They're all the same. They're all the same fields. And we don't need to write a third condition. Keep that in mind also. You'll say, oh, but these two are also related. The player number from P is related to the captain of the T, but that will take care in 226. So again, don't write redundant conditions. The more conditions you write, of course, it will take more time. Right? Okay, so these are the two guys, the 6 and 27, who are captains. These guys are the captains, and these captains are 6 and 27. So Permenter R and Collins DD, right? So they are what they are. Okay, let's give it a go. So this is inner join. I'm not sure about outer join, but we'll look at it. Okay, so the last one, there they are. Right, so we know they are 6 and 27, just because we are doing it in sequence. Maybe it won't make so much sense, so you can show the player number also, and then can be sure that things are happening right. So in the exam or in the assignment, do whatever you need to do to kind of understand as you write your answers. But at the end of the day, remove all your extra stuff, please. So maybe when you want to do a left outer join or an outer join, you want to first do it in steps. Let me just do a join, then let me pick up. Sure, go ahead and do it. But please remove anything extra. Just answer the questions in sequence. If you don't know a question, leave it. I'm not saying you have to put it there. Don't get syntax errors in the script. I've said I can only mark it till where I see. So wherever it is working till, I mark it till there. That's what I see, right? That's what my output is. So don't put queries that you don't understand. That's okay. It's better not to lose marks and then understand it afterwards. But please remember to answer them in sequence. And all I need is your answer number. I don't need the whole query there. Don't waste your time copying and pasting. If it makes it easy for you, that's perfectly fine too. I'm good by it. Right, so that's where names and initials are also required. Can I do the same thing with the outer join that I used? It's not difficult. It's not that difficult, but let's see. These are people who paid a penalty. Is it? Find the name of the players who have paid no penalties. No. who paid a penalty. We'll have to think for a minute because we need the name and the initials, and that is coming from the third table. So I'm not sure. Let's see. I'm just keeping it here for a minute, okay, and seeing if I can. I need the names and initials of those people who have paid up. You know what? I think we can do it. We can first find out people who paid a penalty, their names and initials, and then join it with the captain table. That's all we need. We just need to join it with the captain's table, right? Why do I have to do the left outer join first? Because of that name and initials that I need, which are coming from the first table. Or you could do the other. You could get name and initials from the players table and then join it with the two tables that on which you're doing the left outer join. Either way, right? Again, which is more efficient? You'll have to put a little thought into it. So once you have these people, let's see syntax wise. Can I now do an inner join? I'm just writing the word because I'm thinking that way. Can I now do an inner join with the third table, which is what? Teams. Yes, thank you, teams. So let's say from a table teams. I'll just say T for a minute, okay? And give a. That's strange, right? Sometimes, okay, here. It's going to test for whatever reason. Okay, because that's what it does. I kind of select it when I do an enter. Okay, now what do I want to do? Take this, do an inner join and give the where condition. So syntax wise, I don't know. Logically, it looks as if it makes sense, but syntax wise, you did a join. Kind of is okay. I don't know where, what are we now matching on? Captain here should be equal to player number there, right? So captain here should be equal to player number there. And we can pick up any player number. We can say P dot player number or we can say PN dot player number. Doesn't matter. Think about it for a minute. Logically, it kind of looks okay. It says find out all people. And I could, as I said, I could have done the opposite. I could have said distinct name from the players and then inner join it with the other one. My only concern here is this. Like when you have this left outer join, can you write the word inner join after it? Syntax wise, I'm just thinking syntax wise. Looks odd, but okay, let's see. Let's see if we have a logical error. Syntax wise, it is okay. Like, you know what I mean? Like there's no red squigglies, but does it understand it or does it get confused when it sees an on here and inner join? I don't know. Oh, it does. It did complete it. So which is okay. Right. So again, I'm trying to think this is more efficient because I first found out people who paid penalties and then said they were captains. You can say, can I go the opposite way? Can I first find who the captain is? The only problem is because you need the player name and initials, and those two fields are coming from the players table, the select clause has to go from it definitely. So I can't say, oh, are you a captain? I can't ask that question first. I can't say, are you a captain? And then if you are a captain, did you pay a penalty? I can't go that route because of this. Because of this. I can't do that. Because this, when you say select, so if I kind of do this again for you for a minute, see. When I do this table has to be present here. The name of the table has to be present here. So if this table has to be present here, I can do this. I can say once you find their names, which definitely this is less efficient. Or can I also maybe do a join and a join, a left join and a left join? So these are all people. I mean, it really doesn't matter. An inner and an outer doesn't matter when your first table is a bigger table. Okay, in the second one, what can I do? People who paid a penalty and are our captain, which we've already done. People who are our captain, who have incurred at least one. People who are captains here. These are people who are captains and have paid a penalty. The inner join seems more simple because it is straightforward, but I'm just trying it, okay? Let's see if we can do it. So here are the two things. The first one is giving me the name and the initials from the P. The second one is giving me the captain number. I think I can make it work. Oh, but I think it will work. we can do this, right? Pick up everything from here. And these people have to be, sorry, what was the question? Player number of captains? No. Oh, did I copy it at the wrong place? No, I'm at the right place. Oh, it says using a subquery and I've written everything. Player number of the captains, player number of the captains. If name and initials are required, names and initials are required. Take this, find its partner here. Okay, find its partner here. And its partner here. I don't know, sometimes it just doesn't work. You think it will, but anyway, let's try. This captain is a number. You can't do that. No, doesn't seem like, right? You can't do that. Left outer join has to be with the table. Left outer join, but this is a table. If you think of it, this is a table. Select captain. Yeah, this is a table. Okay. If I kind of put it this way, do you think it will work? So I said select the captain. Select the captain from this team where they're equal and the payment number is not null. And then can I say do a left outer join with it? It's giving me a syntax error straight away. Logically, this is what I'm doing. I'm finding the captain numbers from the, oh, and we are still missing the on condition. That's why it's giving me a error. This is more complicated, but there's nothing wrong in it. On p dot player number, though there's no confusion. The join condition. I don't know, because this is an inner query. How will it know of this captain outside this inner query? I don't think I can say captain here. I don't think so. Because it's like a subquery, right? And the subquery, the captain is inside the subquery. I don't think. We'll try, but I think it will be it will say something like cannot be done. I don't see a syntax error. See why I think there would be an error? Because this is a subquery. When this is a subquery, this table is only available inside. So will it be able to see it outside is what I'm thinking. So syntax wise, it says okay, because there's an on, there is a condition, but logically thinking about local variables is what I'm thinking. Okay, let's give it a try. Worst come worst, we'll have a syntax error, a logical error, right? Oh, yep, query interrupted. Let's see, something to do with, yeah, right, it's saying something, right? Are we at the right one? Yep, player number P initials. Yeah, makes sense. Do you see why is it making sense? Because what I'm comparing here is coming from an inner subquery. So it's not available. Yeah, so logically it is giving an error. And it will, and I do need that pairs table on 237. I can't do anything about it. The name and initials are coming from that table. So seems like our inner join will be our only solution. Unless we can do something like select this and give it an alias name. Do you think will it work? Select captain. I don't think it's a table. Oh, you know what? Let's try it. Let's call it temp for a minute. Let's call temp captain here. Remember, this is always a table. This is a table. When you do a select query, it's a table. So you have a table. I gave it a name, alias name, and maybe now I can use captain outside it. Okay, good. Let's give that a try logically, because it was talking something about an alias name. Yeah, it is. Okay, let's see what we got. Oh, no, the answer is incorrect. It's giving everything from the whole table. That's strange. Like, how is it doing that? Like, how is it doing that, giving everything from the table? I don't think we're successful. We didn't get a runtime error, but logically it's a wrong answer. It is a wrong answer because the answer we need is this. The answer we need is this. These are the people who are captains. But here, I think everybody, every player has come forward here. Okay, so nothing. But at least we know this now, that you can give an alias name to a select clause. You can have a table, a temporary table, and then use it. Which is, it is a table. It only is displayed. Remember, I've shown you the create also. You can create a table by selecting something. We've done that. So it's a table. All I did was I gave it a name and I said, oh, if you have a name, can you give me your captain, and we'll combine on that. That is what I was thinking, but doesn't seem. It looked as if it would work. You know what I mean? Like, I took the names here. I said do a left outer join on this where this player number is this captain, and I took the. Logically, it looks as if it should work, but proof is in front of us. It doesn't work unless I've messed up something. Take this, take from teams, do a left outer join. Because this one is giving me, we've already tested it. This does give me the captains, the numbers 6 and 27. And then I say join it with the other table. Oh, you know what? Oops. Where? All records of the first table are joined with the second, but I only want to show what? Okay, you found a partner. You found a partner. You found a partner. You found a partner. So pick up from here, try to find a partner there. So it is not null. Who is not null is the biggest thing now. I think I get it. That's why it's showing everything. That's why it's showing everything. Worst come worst, we'll need another field if this will not work this way. So this was showing all the answers because everything found a partner. I mean, all records in the player table found a partner, so it was showing it. Now I said only pick up where it is not null. Okay, now I must get my answer. If it is still correct. Okay, query completed. There it is. So why was it showing all the records? Because I didn't give a condition of which ones to choose, right? So it is definitely more complicated than an inner join. It is. I mean, the inner join just makes sense. It says join this table, and this table, and you're done. With here, am I getting something out of it? The only efficiency I'm getting is line numbers 239 onwards. I get all the captains, right? After I get all the captains, I still have to get their names and initials. So the other table has to be players, and it has to go outside on the left-hand side of a left outer join, because that's though it's a bigger table, but that's the table underneath. So it's not incorrect, but in the process, we did see that we could give an alias name to a select statement. So I leave it here because it makes sense. There's nothing wrong in it. It's an absolutely valid query. It's just that it's more complicated. So keep in mind, and don't worry about it. Before I give you an exam, I always do it myself, right? So if I see that asking an outer join is very complicated, I won't expect it from you. Like it's in an exam, you cannot. Maybe in an assignment, I say do it, but in an exam, necessarily, I won't ask you. So here are all three ways of doing it, of which the first one seems the simplest, but necessarily may not be the most efficient, right? It seems the simplest. The second one, I definitely think is more efficient because you just got people who paid a penalty and were a captain. No, they paid penalties, and then you kind of joined it to see captain. So here we can only make educated guesses once we know how many people were. Now it says use a subquery. Oh, the subquery without anything. Okay, so let's go back to the question. Get the player number of the captains. We'll remove this. Player number of the captains who have incurred at least one penalty. Okay, who have incurred at least one penalty. Oh, one penalty. So one penalty means they have a penalty. It becomes confusing when I read at least myself. Okay, this is an easy one. He's a captain and he has He's a captain and he has incurred one penalty at least. Okay, so the captain is coming from the T table, which is basically TBL teams, right? And this guy must be present, or this girl must be present in the in. Be very careful. Where do you need an in? Where do you need an equal to? When you need an in, you are comparing with the set. When you say equal to, you are comparing with the value. They're two different things. Maximum, minimum, count, all these functions return a single value. But saying select captain from a table is not returning a single value. It is returning a column. Even if there is only one value in the column, it is a column. So column will be a list. So be very careful. Okay, so this captain must be in the penalties table. What do we select from there? Player number. From which table? TBL penalties. That's subquery. So he must be a captain and he is paid at least one penalty. At least one means he's in the penalties table. Right? That should work. So distinct or not. Coming from table teams. Yep, we'll need distinct here also. We'll need it, right? 6, 27 and 27. Oh, query interrupted. Okay, what did I do? Unknown column captain. Unknown column captain. Spelling. Somewhere? Oh, where? Yes, spelling. Thank you. There, where captain in. Right. Okay, let's give it a go again. Okay, the query is completed. So your last result should be your right answer. I'll do one more and then I'll give you a break, okay? Where are you? There it is, 6 and 27. Right, so this is all about practicing. The more you practice and put your head around it, the better you will get at it. Okay. Right? So now how are you going to do a subquery if name and initials are also required? Think about it. So these are people who are captains. Now I need their name and their initials. And names and initials are coming from the first table, from the table players. So if you kind of think of it, whenever it says what is required, from which table? Okay, there, right? Now this person who you are picking up, his player number, because that's what is common, from where this player number, and we are talking about the same table, so we are okay, right? Is in. There. All we need is the name and the initials. The name and the initials of the players, and this player should be in that table. And again, notice there is a select captain, so it's a list. So in that, and which captain? The person who's in penalties. So just go step by step. Find out who is in penalties. Is he a captain? And then his name and initials. Just because they were all men, right? So they're all his name. That should work too. Now you need the name and initials. So R. Penmenton and DD Collins, right? 6 and 27. We note 6 and 27 works till 250. There it is. Right, so there's no end to it. Like my extra labs that I've given you are just more practice, because as I said, you just have to practice them. Okay, let's look at the last one and then I'll give you a break before you start doing your extra labs. And maybe you can do the extra labs and I can supervise only, because I'm putting quite a bit of my head into it. Maybe you, or if you want, you have the option of doing your assignment. It's the same thing. You're still practicing something. Are all your partners in the same class, in the same group? in your relational database assignment. Do you have your partner in this clause? Then you can do your assignment. I don't mind. I'll give you the solutions for extra lab 1 and 2, of course, at the end of the day. Okay, it says the numbers, names, and initial of the players who are older than, so here is coming something to do with date. Are parmented, you can assume that the combination of name and initials is unique. So we want to find out his age. And it says the solution should not display R parmented. Okay, so we have to find out the numbers, names, and initials of the players who are older than this guy, right? So this guy's age will come from the players table. Once we have that, we have to find anybody who's older than this person, and the name should not be. So we just put it not equal to, right? Okay. So one by one, how do we find the age? I will have to see what the table was. Oh, there is a birth date, right? So we have a birth date. So anybody who's older will have a earlier birth date than this guy. Okay. So one step at a time. I'm just, there is a subquery and there is a join also. Okay, let's do it both ways. So let's find his age first. Select his birth date from the table TBL players. And it's been given, it said assume that everything is okay. So we'll have to say where, what is his name? R and parmented. Okay, so where player name is equal to parmented and initials is equal to R. This is one guy, right? So let's do one by one, because if you know part by part, then you know it works. I mean, it's not a big deal at all. So this should work, but who knows? Any spelling mistakes or whatever. Okay, so query was completed. Okay, so that's fine. So we got his. Now we want the name and the number of the guys. Okay, so let's try select. We need the player number. We need the player name. We need the initials of everybody who, okay, because it's not complete. Okay, from this, maybe I can do a self join. Oh, this is subquery. Okay, in the join we'll think, can we do a self join? Yeah, we could do a self join here because we are dealing with the same table. I don't know what I did. I don't remember now. But anyway, that's what's coming to my mind because you're talking about the same table. So it should be a self join. Okay, so what are we trying to see? These from the table players. It's not a very tough one, I think. Self join. Okay, where these guys are older than, where their birth dates okay, so these guys are older, so their birth dates are less than, right? So let's do this and let's do this. And I think we'll have to join something. We'll have to write another condition because parmental guy will also come in this answer because no, it is not less than. Oh, so not less than equal to less than will do. No, he won't. He won't. Birthday. Oh, sorry. There. Thank you. Looks okay. Yeah, looks okay. So anybody who is older than. Oh, looks like I have the whole table. No, I don't have the whole table. Okay, so all these, so there is a parmented P. So that's different, okay? So we have, okay, so all these people are older than, who will now check. That's the only way we can, okay, so our first table, the players table. Oh, that doesn't give us everything. Oh, everybody is older than, this is my table players. Okay, no, it's not the table players then, it's just what is coming. Oops, okay. So we'll have to double check. We'll have to double check. That means people older than, what was his birth date? Query is completed. Oh, that's I've gone. Okay. Okay, so let's see. There he is. Parmenter P, Parmenter R. 25th of.
Yes, so it's working.
It's working? Okay, thanks.
Only columns DD is like younger than him.
Oh, everybody else is older?
Yes.
Okay, good then. Since you've checked, I'll take your word for it. Okay, now it says use a join. So I didn't have to do anything else. I said birth date less than. Don't do a less than equal to. That's the only time you'll find our Parmenter in the list. If it says show me in the list, put an equal to. If it says don't show me in the list, put a less than, right? Now about a join. If you kind of not think of it, if you look at your subquery itself, notice how you've used the same table. So definitely when I'm saying use a join, it is a self join. I have to join the table with itself. So join and join, compare the birth dates, and if it is less, print it out, and they should not be equal. Remember, our Parmenter will also be joined with him or himself, right? Because you're joining it. Okay, so let's do it. I think it makes sense. So what do we want is the number, name, and initials. Since we'll require two tables of the same nature, we'll have to qualify them. Doesn't matter from which table it is coming, but we still have to qualify them. So let's call it P1. And it doesn't matter where they're coming from. And now the from. And the name of the table is table players. Table players. Whenever you join the same table with itself, you definitely need alias names. Okay, now the condition. So join with join. Okay, so where? What do we want to show? These people are less. Oh. Only join. So the join condition is okay, but after that there is more to do. There's more to do. Okay, let's join them at least. We need the birth date of this person less than the birth date of the second person. Okay, let's try. Birth date of this person is less than the birth date of the second person. But we also have to join. When you join two tables, I'm only joining those records where their birth date is less than the other person's birth date, and we definitely need an and, right? And the other person, other means P2 dot player name. Is it player name? Yes. I think this should work. That's my joining condition, right? It's not necessary that when you're joining the table, it's always on is equal to player number. So what am I saying? Join a record to the other record if and only if the birth date here is less than the person's birth date there, and that other person is our Parmenter. Right? Looks like it will work. So we had everybody but Collins DD, is what you said, right? Oh, and what about don't include him? Oh, this will do, and less than. Okay, let's try. Oh. There was one person who was missing, you said, right?
More than one.
More than one?
Brown, movement.
Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We need 10 records. Okay, let's do it. Okay. If we have the same answer, we've already checked that the other answer is, oh, do I have more than what I need? Nope. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yep. The answer, the query was completed. Yes, it was complete. Yep, it does work. So that's another thing that is being pointed out, which is good that it has come up. One, of course, you've seen self-joins before. And two, notice, it's not necessary that I join two tables always on the field that are the same. Here is a joining condition that is not even involving player number at all. That it's just involving some of the fields, and that some of the fields are just saying one is less and the other is saying the name of that person in the other table is. So keep in mind that a join necessarily will not always involve the field that is common in the two tables. It can happen in a self join. It can also happen in some other join, right? But in some other join, when you join the two tables, there has to be something that is common. But in a self join, it is not necessary that you join the table on its own common field. We just saw an answer. So that was my first thought. Oh, I'm joining it. The plain numbers should be equal. But that didn't make sense when I said, oh, we only need the people who have a less birth date than our pen mentor. So again, self-join, this is an example of a self-join. As you see, you can put a self-join if you like here. And just so that your attention is drawn to it, if you look at it again, you can say may not necessarily involve the common field. Because that's our first thought when we join, right? That's always our first thought. Because when we join tables, we say, oh, you're joining it on the same field. And that makes sense. But when you do a self-join, it may not be the same. In the other, of course, it will be just because how do you else join? But here it's not involving the common field. The common field was the player number. And you'll say all fields are common. I think maybe instead of common field, I should say the primary field. Maybe that will make more sense. Just because it came to my head. Maybe you didn't even think of it. But I just thought, oh, player number was the common field. Every field is common in that sense. Right? So that takes care of the sports one you have. Right? You can take a break now, 20 minutes or so, please, and then come back. And if you like, you can work on your assignment. It's up to you. If you like, you can work on extra labs 1 and 2. There's no marks for anything. Like I can't give you just because the other section didn't have this opportunity on Monday. Otherwise, I could have just made it an bonus assignment or something. I cannot do it because I didn't give them that opportunity. I couldn't. They had the Monday off, right? So whatever works for you. And if you want me to do it, I can do it too. No big deal, right? So the extra labs 1 and 2, again, one of them is really just based on complex select statements. So use of functions, max, min, counts, and so on. And the other is more general like. So whatever works for you works for me. If you want me to do it, I can do it with you. It's no big deal at all. So they're on Blackboard, download them, and then we can start working on them whenever. So I'll put this on Blackboard for you. Yes.